Hello everyone, welcome back to East Coast Haunts. I'm MK.
And I am Sam.
And we have a fun episode for you guys. I feel like I say that every week, but this is actually fun in like a different kind of fun way.
Like a fun as in like a childhood excitement way.
Exactly.
That was a horrible way of describing it.
No, I think, you know what? It's going to make a lot more sense when you tell the people where we're headed this week.
So this is our first haunt in West Virginia.
West Virginia.
Mountain Mama.
Take me home.
Both of us.
Country road.
That was pretty good, actually.
Yeah.
So we're heading to West Virginia to Lake Shawnee Amusement Park.
Woo, 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 woo.
But it is no longer an amusement park.
Darn.
It is now a defunct amusement park.
Which, kind of slay.
I know we say this for multiple places, but like genuinely, I would love to book like a tour here.
This place skeeves me out in the best way possible.
I don't know if I'd be scared.
I think
Skeeved, yeah.
Skeeved. Once I tell you, I think you do know a little bit of the history.
Yes.
Because I think a lot of the haunts come from the history.
Yes.
So once you guys know the history, maybe we can like take a poll or something on the Instagram and say like whether or not we would go here. Because I'm on the fence about this one. And I know you and I are like kind of opposite on the haunts that we would like to go to. Like you would camp in the Pine Barrens. I would absolutely not camp in the Pine Barrens.
Which is so funny to me. And some of the ones that I find like genuinely scary,
like Lizzie Borden.
Like Lizzie Borden, you're like, let's go. And I'm like,
I really want to go there.
I absolutely will.
All right, next Halloween, or maybe not next Halloween, but next spooky season.
Spooky season in general.
Yeah,
we'll wait to start planning that soon. It's already April.
Well, let's do it.
It's almost the end of April.
What the heck?
Where does the time go?
Where'd all the time go?
We have a very musical episode.
Yes, we do. All right, so before we start,
yes,
I have a little fun Easter egg for all my like Jersey listeners.
Okay.
And if any of you guys grew up in the 80s, I am sure you'll know what I'm talking about. This place gives me the same vibes as Action Park. Have you ever heard of that?
I don't think so, no.
Okay, so
Action Park.
I'm vamping off of like the top of my head here of like stories that I heard growing up in New Jersey. I watched a documentary about it. My dad...
Is there a Netflix documentary?
Yeah, I believe so.
Yes, I've heard of this then.
So my dad used to go all the time when he was a kid.
Oh, wow.
And it's like, they call it class action park, like a class action lawsuit.
That's funny.
And it's
like that.
This like, now it's defunct, amusement park in Vernon, New Jersey, I want to say, like up in that area. It's like almost on the border of New York. And they had like all these like, for lack of a better term, homemade rides and stuff.
Oh wow.
And like 6 people died at this amusement park. Like it was crazy. Like people would go down, like they had this one thing called the Alpine Slide, I believe. Okay. And it was quite literally, like, have you ever seen like a storm trench?
Yes.
Yeah, where it's just kind of like
straight down.
It's like a U-shape like concrete trench, and it goes down a hill. It was like that, and they would take
was it concrete?
Yes. And they would take like these little carts with like wheels on the bottom, and they would just ride them down, and people would like come out of there with like gashes all over themselves, like, and they would just brush it off because they were kids and they like didn't know any better that, you know, when you go to an amusement park, probably shouldn't be getting hurt like this.
Yeah, you shouldn't be getting physical scars that will last your life.
And like several people drowned in like a wave pool that they had.
Wow.
To the point where like my dad, when we were kids, would be like, don't go near like the front of a wave pool, even if it was like somewhere
because
like
he was
Great Wolf Lodge. He was like
he remembered.
Just, it's not worth it. Wow. Don't go there. So now I have like a little teeny irrational fear of wave pools. I don't know if it's irrational.
I don't think it's irrational, really. I kind of get it, especially if you grew up around that being a thing that killed people.
It was, I'm not a huge wave pool person.
I do not blame you at all.
But that is what this place reminds me of.
Okay, interesting. I'm so interested to hear if any listeners have been there.
Yes, definitely write in, like, tell us if you've been to, or if you were at Action Park in like the heyday.
In its heyday, because now I'm sure it's defunct. Like
it is defunct. It's like crazy. I mean, like I said, they have like documentaries about how crazy this place was. Like one of the stories that'll always stick with me from there is like of one of the deaths was like they used to have a big pond where you could take out like canoes and kayaks and like almost do like whitewater rafting.
Oh wow!
But like Jersey whitewater rafting, which
the
is
Jersey version.
nowhere near
So,
like
Snooki's
actual. There. Yeah. DJ Pauly D is providing.
Yes, providing the ambiance.
The ambiance. But he like flipped his kayak, and as he was standing up to like go out of the water, he stepped on a live electrical wire in the water, and it killed him.
That's not where I thought that was going.
I don't think it's where anyone thought it was going.
Ooh, that gives me like the chills.
I know. So
this place is just as bad though.
It's
Lake
really
Shawnee.
It might be worse actually. This place, they had the exact same number of deaths, 6 deaths, while the park was in operation. And
that's just while the park was in operation, but
yeah,
the land itself is definitely
crazy. And so with that lovely little segue that you just provided me,
you're welcome.
Let's get into it.
So
the Lake Shawnee Amusement Park, so now this is not the one in Jersey. This is located in Princeton, West Virginia.
Lovely.
And the park opened as an amusement park in 1926, but the land has a rich and a very disturbing history before its theme park days.
All right, okay.
Also, quick question. What do you call it? Do you call it an amusement park or do you call it a theme park? Or does it depend on...
If it was Disney, I would say it's a theme park. Or if it was Universal, a theme park. And if it was like a kind of like a rinky-dink, I would say amusement park.
Absolutely. Okay, what's your favorite amusement park? Go.
Amusement park?
Yeah.
Or theme park?
Amusement park.
Bruh. None.
Really?
We used to go to the Maryland State Fair, but it was so creepy.
Okay, we were a big amusement park family.
We don't have... There aren't really any in Maryland.
Really?
Yeah, like we don't... I don't think we have a Six Flags.
So that's, I would say that's my favorite amusement park.
I've never been.
When I was a kid, it was one by where we grew up. It was called Bowcraft, which I've
heard of that
definitely
one.
There.
Okay.
And that was kind of like
Isn't
a little.
There, oh, you know what?
One.
You know what? Dutch Wonderland was my
yes,
favorite.
Yes.
Which is it was literally like a Dutch themed amusement park.
Do you remember the Land of Make Believe?
No.
Okay. That one was a trip. That was definitely an amusement park, not a theme park. And then one that we went to probably once or twice as kids was called Knoebels.
I've heard of that.
Weird ass place.
Okay.
Best pierogies I've ever had.
Really?
Weird theme park food.
Pierogies at an amusement park.
Yes. And they had, so the two like staples there are the pierogies, which are out of this world, and we're Polish. We know what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Like, they're good pierogies, and white birch beer. And it's just clear soda.
That tastes like...
That is birch beer.
And this is Chernobyl? What is it?
Not Chernobyl. The way I almost just said Chernobyl.
I know. Knoebel. Not
yes.
Chernobyl.
So anyway, back to the haunt, but definitely would highly recommend those. So Lake Shawnee Amusement Park operated for 62 years from its opening in 1926, and it closed in 1988 for good.
It's a good run.
There were a total of 6 deaths, like I said, before it closed for good, and it was kind of like an on-again, off-again, open-close type situation. So it's an area of urban legend in the West Virginia areas around there. It is actually located, believe it or not, on the cliche trope of an ancient Indian burial ground. And I say that, I know that Native American is the correct term, but the trope is an ancient Indian burial ground, so I'm saying that, you know, as quotes, there are quotes around that.
And it really is built on that?
It really is.
It's not like a spooky story.
No. So we're going to take you all the way back to the 18th century. Classic case of white settlers doing what they do best.
Manifest destiny, right?
Taking land from native owners.
Okay.
So in the late 1700s, there was a family called the Clay family, and they bought land near Bluefield, West Virginia. And they settle in, and soon they get to work, and they have an operational farm and a family home.
And this is what would become the area that the amusement park is on?
Yeah.
Okay.
So Mitchell Clay, who's the father, the patriarch of this big family, decides that he needs some time away from the old ball and chain.
Don't I know it.
and the kids. And he decides he's going on a hunting trip with the boys.
Okay.
In August 1783. And the Native Americans, who are rightfully pissed,
because I'd be super annoyed.
They've now taken over this land that we'll find later has some sort of sacred significance.
Yeah.
they seize this opportunity to attack the home and the family, which violence is never, an excusable action, but their rage was rightful.
You see why they were angry, right?
So they kill the youngest son, Bartley, and one of the daughters, Tabitha, accidentally kind of got in the way while she was trying to help Bartley, and they stabbed her to death.
Oh, wow.
They kidnapped the eldest son, Ezekiel, and they took him to, and I'm going to try my best with this pronunciation, Chillicothe,
Mm-hmm.
and they burned him at the stake.
Oh, wow.
Which is arguably one of the worst ways to go.
Yeah, that...
Ugh.
Wow.
So Clay gets back, and...
So three of the kids
Three
die.
of the kids.
Okay.
And Clay gets back, and he buries his kids, which is very horrific. But again...
Bet he wish he didn't go on that hunting trip.
Yeah, 2 wrongs don't make a right, but Clay and the other settlers exact revenge, and they go after the group of 11 Native Americans who had attacked the house, and they killed several of them.
Wow, okay. Lots of bloodshed already.
Yep. So this land is already tainted.
Yeah.
Not great. But over the next 144 years, the land is kind of untouched. It's not really used for anything. West Virginia, the areas around it, develops. Populations are thriving and growing from the wealth in the nearby coal fields, but, wouldn't you know it, there's a shocking lack of entertainment.
What, the coal fields aren't entertaining enough for you?
It's giving District 12.
It is, very much so.
That is where a man named Conley Snidow comes in.
Whoa.
Kind of a fun last name.
Conley Snidow? That sounds like a Dr. Seuss name.
Yeah, a little bit. Snidow. It's Snidow. Snidow.
Snidow. I'm just kidding. I have no idea.
I don't know. He buys this land for cheap. Wonder why. And he constructs this rudimentary amusement park.
Okay.
So rudimentary is a loose term here. It's like
bare bones.
Yeah. So the amusement park consisted of circular swings, which were one of my favorite rides as a child. The ones that spin you around.
The giant swings?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like the swings that spin you around. Mm-hmm. Or like a Ferris wheel type contraption.
Okay.
Water slides and a pool.
Okay. Fun.
A dance hall.
Okay.
Slay. A canoe pond.
Okay.
Cabins for overnight stays.
Oh, fun. Okay.
Fun, right? A racetrack. I'm not sure what they were racing on there.
Probably were cars around? Never mind. What year is this?
26.
Okay, never mind.
I don't know. Probably horses, maybe dogs.
Okay.
Who knows? Drones, perhaps.
Definitely the
children.
Racing children. Illegal racing of children.
And concession stands. I'm not sure what they sold there.
For the 20s, that actually sounds pretty lit.
Pretty lit. And especially in the middle of
West Virginia.
Really nowhere West Virginia.
Yeah, people are probably like, this is the best thing since sliced bread, if sliced bread has been invented yet.
Best thing since mined coal.
Exactly.
So unfortunately, the amusement park closes in 1967 because of a failed health inspection, among other things.
Ooh.
So it might be a decline in the number of population, coal miners, or maybe because of the 6 deaths. Who really knows?
Who's to say? Could be any of the 3.
And I know I'm kind of joking about this, but I'm going to give you a trigger warning for child death, and it's a little bit graphic, so feel free to skip ahead. This is just going to be a very factual accounting of what happened. So there's one little boy, I'm not sure what age he was. He drowned in the outdoor pool.
Okay.
The worst part about it is that no one noticed his body until his mom returned from dropping him off and searched the entire park, and she was the one to find his body.
Oh my god. How did no one see his body?
It was just floating in the pool.
Wow.
I don't know if there were no lifeguards or...
There are tons of people in the pool?
No,
or maybe it was
idea.
I kind of pictured it as a man-made, so maybe it was sort of
it's a pool.
Dirty in there.
Yeah.
Well, no, yeah, I know pools are man-made,
yeah.
but I guess never mind. Forget about it. That's really, really sad.
It's horrible. Another boy, an 11-year-old boy, drowned in the pool because his arm got trapped in a drain.
That's really... When I was little, I remember, and we would go swimming in pools, our moms would say, don't let your hair get caught in the drain, in the the filter because it'll you won't be able to get out.
I still have a fear of going underwater in hot tubs because of that. I'll put my hair up before I go in a hot tub.
It really is good advice. Like, ladies out there, or actually anyone with long hair.
Anyone with long hair, don't get too close to those drains because
it can suck your hair, and then it's like, So, okay, so his arm got sucked in. Wow.
Yeah. This one's really sad. A 3-year-old girl was crushed on like an elevator type contraption.
Oh.
I'm not sure where it was in the park. It was just called like a lift, and it kind of functioned as like an elevator.
Oh my god, a 3-year-old.
A 3-year-old. And then, actually, this is, I think, the worst
one. I think I know this one. This is like the most well-known one.
Another girl was killed by a truck while she was on the swings, and she just like swung right into the side of it as it was reversing, and it was delivering soda to one of the amusement park stands.
I feel like so much, and I understand that like the 20s and stuff, and like the earlier days was like a different time, but it's like, how can you be that? How is no one like watching to make sure that doesn't happen?
I don't know.
That's horrible.
I think that's a lot of the reason why we have like safety regulations, is because these cautionary tales
happen.
Yeah. Which is sad. We should be proactive, not like, retroactive, or reactive, whatever. And I'm not sure. There's no documentation of the other 2 deaths. Okay. So they might just be a rumor, or there's not
enough
well documented.
Yeah. Well, it seems like no one even knows the names of the people that, like the 4 that you just mentioned,
no,
right?
they don't.
Okay,
I couldn't find anything. In 1985, though, so that is, 18 years after it closed, a former employee that used to work there, Gaylord White.
Okay, yes, I know about Gaylord. I read about him.
He bought the land with the still standing attractions with plans to reopen it.
So he bought it after those 6 people had died?
Yes.
Risky move.
Yeah. And in the summer of 1987, it reopens briefly. Also, can we just talk about the fact that for 18 years, no one demolished this park? Like, all of the things, it was like a ghost town.
It's
just
so
kind
cool,
of like
though.
up
It's
and
so
left.
Cool.
The pictures are really cool.
Yeah.
We'll put a few on the Instagram because they're, it's like, it literally looks like it. Have you ever seen Spirited Away?
Okay, I have this like memory that I've seen it because I know the only scene that I remember is the parents turn into pigs, and then they're like eating, and that part freaked me out so bad.
This place gives the vibes of like the opening kind of sequence of Spirited Away, where they're like they're moving into a new house, and they like walk in through this like train station, and then it's like this abandoned amusement park, but everything like looks like it's still like in operation.
That's creepy.
This place is kind of like the same way, which is maybe why I don't know if I would visit here.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I'm saying?
It kind of reminded me of, the pictures reminded me of American Horror Story, the like freak show season.
Ooh, I still haven't watched
it. And
American
it was like the
Horror
tents are kind of like dilapidated, and it's like in a field, so it just kind of reminded me.
Oh. Well, okay, anyway, back to Gaylord White. He goes about reopening it. Summer of 1987, it reopens briefly. And that is before an archaeological dig in the area recovered Native American artifacts near the site. So they say, hey, Gaylord, can we dig around here a little bit? Can we scramble through your earth? And, sorry, I'm not really sure where that came from.
Scramble
through your earth. Anyway. And they do an archaeological dig on the site property, and they come up with at least 13 skeletons, possibly more, and most of them were young children.
Oh, wow.
Of all Native Americans. So it kind of opened, like I said, open and closed on and off, but it officially closed in 1988.
Yeah, you can't really recover from that.
No, it's kind of tough.
Best to just let them rest in peace.
Exactly. Rest in peace. Leave it alone. That land has known enough sadness and tragedy. But now for like pop culture, some like fun little, I don't know,
tidbits.
Fun little tidbits. It was featured on The Scariest Places on Earth in 2002. It was featured on The Most Terrifying Places in America on the Travel Channel in 2010, and then on a reboot kind of that same series called The Most Terrifying Places, and it was featured again in 2019. and it was also featured on a show called Portals to Hell.
I did see
2021.
I was like, so it's implying that it's a portal to hell, right?
I mean, yeah.
That giant clown face makes me think it's a portal to hell. You know,
I have not seen that. Now I gotta Google it. Giant clown face.
It's like a board. It's like a wooden board of a giant clown face.
Yeah, you know I don't like clowns.
I know.
You know I'm not.
Does anyone actually? Have you ever met anyone who like actually is like, I think clowns are silly and fun? No, right?
I don't think so.
After the 2016, after those like clown stabbings, or like it could never go back.
Do
you see it?
This place. No, I just see pictures of the swings.
Yeah, so when Gaylord reopened it, I'm wondering, did he like use the same?
I'm sure he like refurbished all of the rides. I'm not sure if he used the same one. I hope to God he got rid of these swings.
I hope to God too, but when you look at it, it kind of looks like they could have been from the 20s, 30s.
Oh my God, they have a plaque there for Mitchell Clay of all people. Like,
a plaque there for Mitchell Clay.
Yes. Here, Mitchell Clay settled in 1775. 8 years later, Indians killed 2 of his children and captured his son Ezekiel. Pursuers killed several of the Indians, but the boy was taken into Ohio and burned at the stake.
I wonder when that was put up, because like the fact that they said Indians.
Yeah, read the room a little bit, because, yeah, I mean.
I did hear that there's like a marker for where the Clay kids were killed,
because they're
buried like exactly right under the marker, which is interesting.
Yeah, so definitely here it is, Bartley and Tabitha Clay.
Yeah.
Well, definitely a place that I'm not surprised is haunted.
Yeah, when you hear all that stuff, it just makes sense. This is one of the places with like, I don't want to say like the most tragic history, but it's up there. I mean,
in terms of like death toll, I would say it's like, not to discount any of the deaths, but like we've had places like Gettysburg that had like 50,000 people killed.
But there's something about the kid. I mean, it's horrible no matter what. But
the kids,
hearing that it's all these like little kids and like they're going somewhere that's like supposed to be happy and exciting and fun.
That's the worst part about it.
It like seems like the juxtaposition, if you will.
It's very sad. So do you want to take us through the hauntings?
I would love to take you through the hauntings. There are several. And like you said before, like they definitely mirror the deaths that we saw that you just talked about. So one of the most well-reported haunts in the amusement park, obviously, is that little girl who died on the swings. I think she's like one of the most, like, because I've heard of this place before because I've listened to like podcast episodes about it. And, like, that was the part that stuck with me.
Yeah, me too.
So, I think that it sticks with a lot of people. And apparently her swing is marked by a red ribbon. Because at Lake Shawnee Amusement Park, like, that's the actual swing. Those are the actual swings. I wasn't going to tell you until this point. Those are the actual swings because...
You're kidding.
I believe the story, don't quote me on this because I don't remember exactly, but it was, like, Gaylord... when he wanted to redo the amusement park, he bought swings and like then they checked the serial number and it just so happened to be the exact.
Yes, I do remember hearing that actually.
So if they're the exact swings, I don't know how they knew exactly which one the little girl had died on, but maybe it's just there for like in remembrance, you know?
Yeah.
So, but either way, her swing is marked by a red ribbon apparently. But she actually seems to prefer a different swing, like her spirit or her ghost, if you will. There's a swing that has like a little owl ornament on it.
Oh.
And people will see the owl ornament swinging around and moving when there's like literally no wind at all. So it's like almost like she's like playing with it. Which is really cute. And then also it'll like suddenly stop moving, like almost as if like she'd like dropped a toy or something.
Oh my god.
So that's super interesting. And actually I have another haunt with her in a little bit, but right now I'll just start with that. There's also, I don't know what it is with like wind in this place, but there's another child who seems to like communicate through wind or lack thereof.
Ooh.
So the little boy who drowned in the lake, he is sometimes seen moving through the park, people say, especially close to the front of the park. And people say it's because like he's he wants to like greet people and like make sure they like have a safe time, since like he obviously didn't. I know, which is really sad. But there's also a white pinwheel. I think it's pretty close to the lake, if I recall. Like not a big pinwheel, like a little, like, you know, a little pinwheel.
Yeah.
And it twirls sometimes when there's no wind at all, and like by itself. And apparently, like, I don't have anything to back this up, but I did read on one of the blogs I was reading that like a lady was like asking questions, and like it would like twirl a lot, or it would like twirl a little bit, like almost like he was like answering and trying to communicate.
It reminds me of like the dowsing rods that we were using.
It does, yeah. But it's even more like if there's no wind, it's like, how is it going to do anything, right?
Yeah, because there's no like room for human error, because no one's holding the pinwheel.
Exactly. So I just thought it was so interesting that both of these children's objects, like, you know, the little girl having the owl and the little boy having the windmill, or what is that called? Pinwheel. That they both are affected by or not affected by the wind. I thought that was so interesting. It
definitely seems like a pretty solid way to communicate.
Yeah, right? Yeah. So, businessman Gaylord White, as we were talking about, he was like reopening the park, but he also was planning on maybe turning part of Lake Shawnee into like a residential neighborhood area, and that's, you know, when they were doing the dig and they found the Indian burial ground.
Yeah.
Right? So they unearthed the bones, and I know that you said they found 13 bodies, but I read in multiple places that it said there was thought to be maybe 3,000 bodies.
Oh my God.
But I'm wondering how that can be. I'm questioning my sources, because I read it in two places, but neither place was like official. It wasn't like .edu or anything.
Mine was not .edu.
3,000 sounds insane. Like, that's so many people. But
3,000 was a lot of people, but also it's a big plot of land.
Yeah,
that's why I was kind of confused that it was only 13.
So maybe,
well, not that only 13, but you know.
But it's like you would think over all the years. So maybe 3,000 is estimated, but I saw that 3,000 number in two different places, which is
maybe
crazy.
They didn't excavate the entire land, but they figured that they found.
Oh, actually, it's probably exactly what it was.
13 bodies in like a certain square footage,
and then they stopped, because they wanted to let them rest.
Yes, exactly. I actually do kind of think I remember hearing that on a podcast episode.
So
about
this. Tons and tons of graves here, and like you said, most of the skeletons belonged to children, which is like very haunting and sad. Ugh. And I mean, that's not even like a specific haunt; it's just something really sad.
Yeah.
There really aren't any negative hauntings here, except for one that was like, it could be considered negative, but it's a little bit more funny. It wouldn't be funny if it was happening to you, but hearing the story is funny. So, like you were saying, the Discovery Channel came to Lake Shawnee for one of their TV shows, and one of the investigators got stuck in an old ticket booth, even though there's no lock on the ticket booth, and it's a push door, and she was pushing it hard, and like she was literally stuck in it. Like, someone was, like, holding it against, like, keeping her from getting out.
That's so scary.
And she was panicking so much that they had to take her to a nearby hospital because she was freaking out. Which, I don't blame her. But, like, she was freaking out.
I don't blame her in the slightest.
So it's one of those things where it's, like, kind of funny.
It is kind of funny, but also, not to equate my experience with hers, but I was, this weekend on like a golf course, and they had like, and usually like on a golf course, like if you have to go to the bathroom, you're kind of screwed because it's usually like a porta potty.
Oh, isn't that what the holes are for?
Huh? Oh yeah. It was actually a good one. It really took me a second
to choose from.
And I'm not a big porta potty person. I don't think anyone's a big porta potty person, but there was like a nice like little outhouse. So I like went into the outhouse to do my thing.
Yes.
And I left my phone in the golf cart, and I could not get this door to open, and I was like so stressed out.
Yeah, that's really
and it was
scary.
Only probably about like 15 seconds of me like actually pushing on this door and like trying to get out. But I panicked a little bit because I was like, no one's gonna know that I'm in here.
Like, they will find my bones.
Yeah,
Wow.
in a well-traveled place. So I
Yeah.
can only imagine, like, what this lady was thinking.
Especially because you weren't thinking that the golf course was haunted. Like, she's coming in with, like, this preconceived notion that, like, this is haunted.
Yeah.
Something weird might happen. Like, I don't blame her for panicking.
Oh, my God. No, I definitely would have panicked.
Right?
I don't blame her in the slightest.
But I can also see where it could have been just, like, a silly prank.
Yeah,
like the
but,
kids
like,
played or something, right?
Yeah, I don't think it's malicious.
To be, like, mischievous.
Yeah, but definitely I don't blame her for freaking out. I would have been freaking out too, girlfriend.
Exactly. So, Chris is Gaylord's son. And Chris,
Okay, yes.
So Chris, actually, I believe he's the one that kind of, like, manages the area now and, like, runs the tours and all the events that they have there. So Chris has a story that his dad told him. And that, like, you know, like, it's like a
Gaylord.
A family story. Gaylord. Okay, so, and this is Chris's exact quote of said story. Dad, meaning Gaylord, was on the tractor mowing the field, and he kept feeling a weight on his shoulders. He didn't know what it was, so one day he felt the weight, and he turned around, and the little girl from the swings was there, like, sitting on his shoulders. That's me adding that. Anyway, quote. She was in a ruffled dress and she just appeared. He wasn't scared, but the only thing he could think of was, well, if you like this tractor so much, I'm going to give it to you. So he got off and left it sitting there. It's still sitting where he left it in the late 90s.
Oh, stop it. Why is that really cute to me?
Okay, but then I also heard there were two different stories. And it's funny because, like, this one was directly from Chris, so I tend to believe this one more.
Yeah.
But this other one I heard was from a pretty popular YouTuber. He had, like, over 1 million subscribers. His name was Omar something, and he told the story, and this video was, like, on Lake Shawnee Amusement Park's, like, official website. Like, they used it, so I'm like, so I feel like this story could also be true. Like, I don't know which version to believe.
Okay.
But both are cute. I actually like the second one better a little bit. So the other story is that the other version of the story, I should say.
I think I actually know where this version of the story is going. Just because I think I remember hearing it in a podcast, or maybe I watched this video, but let me see if I...
Okay, let's see if you're right. So Gaylord, he would be on his tractor riding the fields, and he kept seeing a little girl randomly appearing as he was riding on the tractor, and then he was just kind of like, okay, whatever, like, he thought he saw something at the corner of his eye, so he just keeps going on his tractor. It happens again, and he's like, what the heck, but whatever, I'm just going to keep going. And then all of a sudden, he feels her, and she's sitting on his shoulders, like a little kid would, like, sit on their dad's shoulders, right? So she told him to stop the tractor, and so he's like, okay, and he gets off of it. He's like, okay, whatever, like, I'm not going to go back on that. A few days later, he checked the tractor, and there had been a fuel leak that would have made the tractor catch on fire if he had stayed on it any longer.
Oh my God.
And kept riding it. So, like, the little girl was, like, warning him and giving and saving him. And it's widely believed that it was a little girl from the swings in both stories.
That is so sweet.
Is that where you thought that was
No.
going? Okay, what did you think?
I thought that he saw the spirits of, like, several Native Americans, and he got off the tractor because the little girl, like, asked him to let them rest in peace. And he left the tractor out there and never disturbed the land again.
So we know that he had some sort of encounter with a spirit, and the tractor was left there.
Yes.
But we just don't know
what the full reason.
We don't know what the reason
I
is.
tend to believe Chris's story a
yeah,
little
right?
bit.
Yeah, it's like,
but maybe Chris didn't include the part about the fuel just because he didn't think it was relevant.
Yeah. Exactly. I was going to say, because, he didn't have to specifically... It's a nice part of the story, though.
I know. I really like that.
Like, it's really sweet.
I like stories like that, where spirits come back to, like, warn you against something.
I know. It just shows how, like, nice... How, like, sweet and nice they are.
I'm looking out for you. Little guardian angels.
So then another one that I have for you is after Gaylord and his son, Gaylord Jr. They really like the name Gaylord.
Gaylord.
So after those two had passed away... a couple of, like, little changes were made to, like, the tours that they do there, because apparently the tours that they do there are, like, very respectful. They really do tell you about the history of the land itself and the history of the amusement park. So after Gaylord and his son had passed away, Jewel, who was Gaylord's wife and Gaylord Jr.'s mother, and Chris's mother for that matter, she was worried that like the little changes that they made, that they wouldn't have approved of it and that they wouldn't have liked the changes that she made, and she was like kind of feeling a little bit stressed and insecure about it. But she feels that they showed their approval in like a really cute way. So basically, there was security camera footage, and the Ferris wheel, you know, it was like late at night. Obviously, they have security footage because I'm sure people try to get onto this land all the time. Yeah. And the security camera footage showed the Ferris wheel safety bar unfastening in the middle of the night. So I'm assuming that means it probably rose up.
Yeah.
Which wouldn't like sound like much, but like in order for it to unfasten, I feel like it has to like physically
definitely like
click.
unclamp.
Yeah. And apparently Gaylord was like super particular in life about the lock of the Ferris wheel. Like he was always like scared of it like coming unfastened, and would always like be very specific about making sure that it was locked down tight. And so when that came undone, like she thought it was kind of his funny way of being like oh, like hey, like I approve of the changes, which I thought was kind of
that's
cute.
really sweet.
I thought it was very sweet. And then this is okay. Before I want to read 2 reviews of people that went there, but before I do that, I thought it was so. This has nothing to do with the haunts. I just want to get your thoughts, honestly. So this place has.
I love giving opinions.
Yes. Okay. Right? It's so fun.
I'm a very opinionated person.
So the Google reviews, it has great Google reviews, like lots of good ones.
That makes me happy to hear for some reason.
Yes.
I kind of feel like this place is doing it right.
They are. I think they're respecting the history of it rather than like trying to cover it up.
Yeah.
Right.
Good.
So I did see one review, and like this person, these 2 people had, and I know this is going to sound so judgy, and at the end of the day, like, I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt that they didn't know the history of it.
Oh boy.
But a couple had like their wedding photo shoot here. And they were in like their, you know, the man was in his tux, the lady was in her dress, and they were like posing like with like the swings, like the giant swings.
I knew you were gonna say the swings.
Like in like the foreground, and it was just like I just literally like at first like I thought it was kind of funny because I was like, this is so random, but then I was like, ooh, it's kind of yucky.
I am a big proponent for like your wedding, your day, like and like as long as you don't become like a bridezilla and like isolate your friends and family because you're being like too bossy. I think like, you do whatever you want to do on your wedding day should fly. That's your day, your time to be happy. That I think is very insensitive.
And like it's a Native American burial ground. But I'm assuming I'm gonna assume though that they had no idea. Like I think maybe they just thought the aesthetic was cool.
I would like to believe that too. Don't you think you would Google it and like it's all over their website?
Yes.
I you know what? I'll give them the benefit of the doubt too. I just think maybe I know that if I had been like affected by the tragedy in any way, I would have been like upset. Really? Yeah.
Yeah, like it's not your aesthetic. Like weird.
Yeah.
I just thought that was so and like I don't want anyone to like go on like look at it and be like, oh my god, like you guys are horrible people.
No, because they're
not. I mean,
they're not.
It's just a little bit
listen,
insensitive.
We've all had moments where we look back and we're like,
and we cringe
probably
at
shouldn't
ourselves.
have done that.
Yeah.
Not my best work.
But to put it on a Google review,
it's a lot. I'll be honest with you.
I know. So I just thought that was very interesting.
Yeah.
So okay,
Speed Racer.
I know. Yeah, that was so loud. My final 2 things that I want to leave you on are these 2 reviews. Someone said, I went to visit. Actually, her name is Kim. And these are both from 2020.
Slay, Kim.
All right, Kim goes, I went to visit Lake Shawnee on October 26, 2020. We had a great time just flashing pictures. I don't know what that means.
Flashing the pictures.
Flashing pictures. I've never heard that
phrase. I like snapping pictures.
Yeah, like flashing pictures. I've never heard that before.
Maybe it's a West Virginia thing.
She goes, it probably is. She goes, my husband took a picture of me in the school bus. You can see me in there, but there is a picture of a face in the right-hand corner of the photo. There was also a picture with a black figure sitting next to me. What a great experience. We'll be back. I didn't see the pictures, so I can't know if confirm or deny. And then another lady, Teresa Quinn, posted, and she did post this picture, which I will describe in a second. She said, We visited Lake Shawnee today and took dozens of pictures, but one stood out from the rest. My 14-year-old son wanted a picture in the driver's seat of the bus. So I took several shots, and so did my husband with his phone. Only one picture came up with what looks like a face over my son's left shoulder.
What the
This
heck?
does not appear in any of the other photos. Our guide told us to take multiple shots of the same thing in hopes of capturing something. And he was right. I can't help but notice the resemblance in the ghostly picture. So I don't know what that means. But I looked at the picture, and at first I was freaked out because, no offense, I thought the 13-year-old kid's face was the ghost, because it was like kind of like the color was like distorted, like in like the tinted window, and I was like, oh my god, like they got such a good picture of the ghost, like that's insane. And then I was like, wait, that's definitely the child.
Oh my god.
And I couldn't see any pictures of the
actual face.
Yeah, so but maybe we'll post it and we'll see if anyone else can see it, or I don't know if we're allowed to. I don't want to like be posting some random person's child.
Yeah, that's probably a good call if we don't post it.
But you can go on I think
reviews.
it's like their official website. Yeah. So
wow.
So people do see stuff.
I've changed my mind. I'd like to go here.
Right? It looks fun.
I changed my mind. I'd like to go here.
Well, fun is not the right. It looks so interesting to go to.
I would really think. I would think there is something that reminds me here, just from their website and just from like the way that like Chris talks about it and like the wife and everyone. That reminds me a little bit of Pennhurst, because there was so much tragedy, like unspeakable horrors that like happened on this land. But the tour guides, like, while they kind of like are like, yeah, you know, we have some paranormal activity here, we're happy to show you around,
don't be disrespectful,
and it's important that you know the history.
Right.
So A+ for Lake Shawnee.
Yeah, they're going about it in a great way, and it really is an interesting history.
Yeah, I would love to visit here someday.
Add it to the list.
Baby. We'll do a part 2 to this episode if we have the privilege to go visit.
Absolutely. That is a no question.
Aw.
No brainer. Well, that was fun.
That was fun. Should we break the tragic news to our listeners?
No, because it's going to make me sad.
I know, it's going to make me sad too. You guys, this is probably our second to last episode that we'll be able to record together, because...
For a while, at least.
Yeah, for a while, because we are moving out.
We're moving out of our apartment.
Don't stop. Don't.
The roommate
don't
era.
Get sad.
The roommate era will come to an end, but the cousin era will never come to an end. That's the good thing.
And you know what? I think we'll have. This is a great way for us to like stay in touch.
It is
when we're not living together.
We're gonna have to figure out as if I do any of the work. I had to like record over like Zoom or something like that.
Yeah, we'll make it work though.
But yeah, it's definitely sad. It's like the ending of an era, but
I mean, especially because we started this right when you moved in.
Literally right when you moved in.
Because we would come home and we would talk about like different podcasts, and we'd be like, you know what? We could start a podcast.
And America was like, what if we, hear me out?
And then we were like, we should do like maybe like a true crime podcast. And we were like, nah, that like
there's
market's too saturated right now. So we were like, what about like a haunted podcast?
A happy medium. There's not as many haunted podcasts. Really.
No, there's not. And I think that, you know,
this has been like a defining project of like my early 20s.
I agree. This has been like very fun. It proved to me that like you can do like whatever you want.
Like if you want to do something, just simply do it.
Yeah, it takes a little bit of hard work, but once you get it up and running, you know.
And everyone's been so, like, we've gotten so much, like, support and love.
And, like, positive feedback that I really didn't expect us to get. Like, we were in a magazine.
Honest, I thought that I was like, there's no way that anyone's going to listen. Not because it was bad. Like, I thought it was good, but I was like,
so many podcasts
there's so many podcasts.
Yeah. So, and, you know, this isn't everyone's niche.
When we get, like, even one singular, like...
comment or like
I feel so review or like view or anything.
I mean, and like think about how much we've accomplished thus far.
I know,
because we're coming up on a year,
and I'm also making it sound like we're like ending it. We're not.
No, we're not.
But I'm just like looking back on the last year.
Yeah, and it's a happy thing to reminisce. Yeah, reminisce on, because we were in a magazine.
Yeah, that's crazy.
That's crazy. We had collabs. We have, not to spoil anything, but we do have another collab in the works. You're gonna have to wait a little bit for it, but it's coming.
What is it?
I'll tell you after.
Okay.
I don't want to spoil anything. And What else? What was the other thing that I was going to bring up?
We did our own little ghost adventure.
Yeah, we did our own little ghost adventure. We were on the charts.
Oh, that was crazy.
Which is crazy. And, we've fallen off a little bit because it's not spooky season anymore. But, come October,
just wait.
I'm sure we'll be right back.
Just wait till spooky season.
And,
And, we used to, when we had, 10 streams, we were so excited. And now we're in, I don't know how many, but a lot more than
20,000, something like that.
So it's very exciting.
Yeah, and we got listeners from all over the world. So really cool, you guys. Really cool.
Thank you for your support.
Yeah, thank you for your support. New era of East Coast haunts, but still gonna be a great one.
Still gonna be a great era.
So
new era.
Probably we should do something special for our last little episode as roommates, but we'll be good.
I should have thought of a good idea.
All right.
That I'll tell you.
Tell me afterwards because we don't want to spoil it.
Okay.
All right, you guys. We will talk to you next week.
Thank you so much for listening.
And,
keep
it chill.
Yeah. Have a great day.
Bye.
Bye.